The Ducks will get first touch this afternoon at Husky Stadium. They have beaten Washington 3 years in a row. So Brooke Olzendam on top of the 4-game overall losing streak. A slide against an intense rival.
Well, as you can imagine, Coach Willingham none too pleased with the fact that his guys are on a 4-game skid, so he decided to shake up practice a little bit this week. They usually put on full pads Wednesday. He bumped that up to Tuesday in hopes it would help him keep focused throughout the week. Now, on the other side of the field, Coach Bellotti is very pleased with his guys, especially the offense, which is #1 in the Pac-10. A huge reason for that, Jonathan Stewart, who's played in numerous games south of here in Lacey at Timberland High School. But today, as you said, Brian, the first and only time he'll ever play at Husky Stadium. When asked if there was a little added pressure, he said, no, I'm going to take this just like any other game. But there is a benefit. His mom, Laura, only has to drive a few hours to get to this one.
Brooke, thank you very much. Jonathan Stewart leads the Pac-10, averaging 29.5 yards per kickoff return. The Ducks beat Washington State last week 53-7, while Washington went to Arizona State and lost 44-20. Stewart from the 6-yard line across the green and has some space. Good block on the edge before Stewart across the 35-yard line is stood up and dropped by Roy Lewis. Dennis Dixon at quarterback for the Ducks of the University of Oregon. His numbers absolutely ridiculous. He is completing 70%. That's not a mistake. 70% of his passes.
And you'll see today they do a great job of getting the ball out of his hands. They run screens, they run to the left, they run to the right. They use all their personnel very well.
Our Liberty Mutual starting lineups also include an offensive line very active for Oregon, suited for this spread offense. Stewart ready to shoulder the load. Jeremiah Johnson out for the season with an injury sustained last week. The receivers lack experience as a group, but they are all very fast football players, and a bubble. And on the slant, Dixon for a first down in Washington territory, just like that to the senior receiver, Garen Strong, who came into 2007 without a catch. He's got 14, has yet to score his first collegiate touchdown.
And with all the wideouts out of this game for Oregon, he's going to have to carry more of the load today. That's simply too easy. The easy play action pass, you see the space. Oregon loves to get guys in space. UW has to tighten that down if they're going to have any success.
Out of the shotgun, Dixon hands it off to Stewart, who leaps over a man and is knocked down after a 5-yard gain. Grayson Gunheim scraping down to make the play. The Washington defense getting penetration but not getting home. Gunheim, if you take this as good news, was in on 2 sacks at Arizona State. E.J. Savannah is the Huskies' leading tackler. Behind him at secondary, a tendency to over-pursue. Look for Byron Davenport. Good closing speed to work the wide side of the field. The more physical Lewis will work the boundary this afternoon against Oregon. Dixon from the shotgun, drifting back, has all kinds of time, dumps it off for Jason Williams, who against Washington State last week had 4 catches for 108 yards, including a 52-yard touchdown. And on his first touch of the afternoon, he's got a first down for Oregon.
And you complete 70% of your passes when you have time to throw. And Kent Baer, defensive coordinator for the Huskies, talked about this Oregon offensive line being the best he's seen at Oregon in all his years in the Pac-10. Giving Dennis that much time makes those completions and that completion percentage escalate.
Stewart around the corner. Thunderous contact with Darren Harris, the defensive back, but he got some great blocks on the edge to turn that into a strong gain. A short yardage situation, 2nd and short, as Dixon thunders his way for 8.
And look at Max Unger, their center, probably the best player, the most notable of those offensive linemen, incredibly athletic, leading the way. You're going to see that all day from this Oregon offensive line. These aren't 300-pounders that just stand there stationary. These guys are on the move. Max Unger, a great job of pulling out and opening up the room for Jonathan Stewart.
His 32nd consecutive start for Unger, who moved inside this year, and Stewart straight up the gut runs right by a Washington defender. We talk about the missed tackles. There is one there right in the hole, and that is another first down for Oregon. Darren Harris on the stop for Washington.
And even from 5,000 feet or whatever we are up here in the press box, Brian, you could see this offensive line getting the movement. what you want to do when you run that triple option that Oregon does with all these different guys that have the ability to get the football, you want to get the defense on their heels. And there you saw Daniel Taylor on his heels waiting for things to happen. That's exactly what Oregon in their scheme wants to dictate.
Stewart just missed a 1,000-yard season in 2006. He is well on his way. 700 yards, play action. Dixon with time. Now he'll pull it down and go and get something out of what looked to be nothing or even a minus play. But Dixon scrambling for 3 on first down. 6 plays, and Oregon, a team that likes to strike quickly. 19 touchdown drives of 2 minutes or less this season. That's 19 out of 33.
And what you're seeing here with Dixon, you see him and the rest of this group looking to the sidelines. They don't huddle. That's another way to get that tempo going, to get a defense on their heels. You never know when they're going to come up to center and snap the football.
Andre Crenshaw in motion, takes the handoff, hit in the backfield by Daniel Taylor. Check that now. Around the corner is Stewart. Great play action, great misdirection as the Huskies bit at the line on the play fake, as did the announcer, and Stewart motoring the other way nearly to the goal line. 1st and goal, Oregon.
This isn't your traditional triple option that you see out of the wing or out of the wishbone. They do it all out of this spread offense, but they want to make you account for everybody. There, the Huskies accounted for the dive. Not enough bodies outside to defend that option.
Time is taken. The ruling on the field, I believe, about the spot of the ball.
That's exactly
is under
right.
review. Larry Farina is the referee this afternoon. Look at the blocking on the edge. Did he step out of bounds right there? Did he get to the pylon? He stepped out certainly inside the 1-yard line, but might have stepped out a little bit closer to the 5. Tough to tell. Replay officials are getting the same feed that you're seeing at home on FSN. I think the spot was correct. I think he stayed in bounds. We looked at the, not this one, but the last one. Byron Davenport saving the touchdown for Washington, but I think the spot was proper. It is confirmed. So 1st and goal for Oregon, at least on the replay. The Huskies get a chance to get the clock stopped and catch their breath.
Try to catch their breath. It's amazing from up here to see the space that these guys play. When you play an option offense, you've got to space the field. You've got to get those guys spread from sideline to sideline. And when you do, you open those lanes up, whether they're throwing lanes, whether they're running lanes, whether they're option lanes. They're doing a terrific job of really spreading this Husky defense thin.
Dixon takes a look. He's got some time on the play clock. Takes a look back at the coaches and said, okay, now what? Now makes a change. Very unusual here, but he has the time. And hands it off to Stewart, who is stopped in the backfield, hit again, and knocked down for a moderate loss. First contact on the play to Donald Butler, the sophomore linebacker out of Sacramento, California.
And I talked earlier about them not huddling. When you don't huddle, you have all that time you were referencing there. And what they did, they lined up, they looked to the sidelines, and they, based on the Huskies defensive linemen, they have a number of plays that they can run. Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, new here from New Hampshire, very innovative guy, trying to get into the right play versus the Husky defense.
The handoff. Faked, and Dixon on the run, and then the man left all alone in the end zone. Garen Strong with his first collegiate touchdown as he was left alone by the defensive back who bit up on Dixon, running to the corner. Touchdown, Oregon.
That is all number 10. That is incredible athleticism. That's a senior. That's what jumps out. A senior quarterback who's been in these positions. He doesn't panic. How many times do you see quarterbacks get out of that pocket, start to panic? That clock, especially in the red zone, starts to speed up. He doesn't panic. He lets the defense react to him, and an easy dunk pass, easy touchdown right over the top.
In soccer, they call that a chip. And Matt Evenson's extra point. Strong getting some congratulations as he finds pay dirt for the first time in his collegiate career. Oregon on its first touch, driving not even 4 minutes to a 7-0 lead at Washington. takes the opening kickoff and drives 61 yards in 9 plays, 3:54 off the clock, and the Ducks did not play a third down.
Exactly what Kent Baer was scared of, defensive coordinator for the Huskies, said we've got to find a way to get them to third down. They are so explosive. Our only chance will be to get into third down where then we can be a little aggressive, where we can dictate. That entire drive, Oregon did exactly what they wanted to do.
And even without the injured Cameron Colvin and Brian Pacing and the suspended receiver Derek Jones, they are still so fast. Now, Lewis Rankin has made a little bit of a statement as a kick return man, and he winds up getting a decent return before he is brought down across the 35-yard line. Jake Locker, as we continue with our Liberty Mutual starting lineups, 10 completions, a season low at Arizona State. The offensive line, not bad. Top shelf of the Pac-10, 10 sacks allowed. Locker's running ability will help, but again, Rankin, the tailbacks, the receivers, you got to run the football and you have got to get open. Separation by the receivers and the tight ends has been an issue. Rankin on first down stops, takes a look through the hole and falls forward for another yard as we look at Oregon's defense. Nick Reed, the Tasmanian Devil, his defensive coordinator Nick Aliotti, that's his nickname. He's the Pac-10 and the Walter Camp Foundation Player of the Week. That's the National Defensive Player of the Week. A.J. Tuatelli is out until the Civil War with an ankle injury. The secondary, very talented, led by Patrick Chung, like Max Unger. Well, Chung came to campus, started his first collegiate game. He's been in the lineup ever since. This is his 32nd start. The fake to the fullback, Homer Locker on the keep. Will bring up third down and fairly long distance. Not as much on the spot of the ball. Now they're going to give him 3 on that. So third and middle distance for Washington. Locker again right from the beginning taking pops here.
It's what they do. It's part of their system. They've got to be careful. Tim Lopano told us time and time again, I monitor how many times he's hit. As the season's gone on, he's taken more and more and more blows. And it's 72% of this offense, Brian. They've got to find a way to spread it out, get the ball in other people's hands.
Well, it finds DeAndre Goodwin, who is blasted by Walter Thurman III, one of those talented members of the secondary. Goodwin nowhere close to the line to gain 1 yard shy. It's fourth down.
And a nice job here using the quick game. You're going to see more of DeAndre Goodwin. They told us that. They're going to get him more acclimated. A young guy that's getting into the system, getting more comfortable. A nice job there by Jake to get the ball out of his hands, but just a little short, leading to a fourth down here for the Huskies.
Coaching staff thought about going forward on fourth down, decided not to against USC his last time in here. Jared Bowman, 5 punts inside the 20. The other 2 of his 7 were fair caught. Robin Pflugrad, the return man, lets that go, and it will bounce into the end zone for a touchdown. Touchback for Oregon. Dixon and the Ducks offense coming back from their own 20-yard line. Our principal edge scouting report, they are just so fast and so multiple. They are a nightmare for any defensive coordinator. Kent Baer says, I haven't slept hardly at all this week.
Grumpy Bear, right? The 2 times that we've talked to him this year, Boise State and Oregon, 2 teams offensively that are so dynamic, that do so many things, that put so much pressure. But it all starts up front. You look at this Oregon offensive line, watch them, watch the way they move in unison and get off the football.
On the first drive, Jonathan Stewart averaged nearly 9 yards a carry. Here he is ridden down from backside by Jordan Reffett. Grayson Gunheim in on the tackle. So they're maybe starting to figure Stewart out just a little bit as they hold him to a 3-yard gain on first down.
And when you have as much movement as Oregon does on the offensive line, to counter that, you want to stay in your gaps, but you got to get up the field. You have got to penetrate. You can't be on your heels defensively.
A 5-man front with the linebacker Dan Howell on the outside to the left of Daniel Teonesha, and the Huskies left defensive end. Dixon from the shotgun takes a fast look right down the middle of the field, and he misses his man, the intended receiver, on the play. Ed Dickson, tight end, but rangy, very tall, and very fast. Dickson is one of the leading receivers on this Ducks team, and again, with all the injuries, expect him to play more of a role.
And just off there, but year after year, Oregon produces some of the most athletic tight ends in the conference. Ed Dickson, no different, a guy that could stretch the middle of that field.
First third down for the Ducks this afternoon. Dickson with a lot of time right down the middle. Pflugrad with the catch for the first down. Aaron Pflugrad, he is the son of the Ducks wide receivers coach Robin Pflugrad. Grew up primarily in Pullman, Washington. Finished high school in Eugene. Last week when Colvin got hurt, Pflugrad got his first touchdown catch of the year to help in that rout of Washington State. Big hit by Mesfin Forrester, but a lot of room.
Too much space in there. Again, beating the zone there with their great spacing.
First down for Strong on the edge as he gets outside of Roy Lewis. Lewis more physical but doesn't have the closing speed.
A tremendous throw by Dennis Dickson there. That's a comeback throw on the sidelines, and one that takes prime confidence to throw right over the top of the Husky defender there. A pinpoint throw for Dennis Dickson. Again, a quarterback playing with extreme confidence. He has no fear. That margin of error that the Husky coaching staff talked about so much on their side, you don't see that with Dennis Dickson. He's playing just with so much confidence, so free to make so many plays.
Dixon with the keeper. Now leaves it for the tight end Dixon and a first down. They spread you out. They force you to run so far.
And he just is such a threat, Brian. When he gets out there, that run-pass threat is so dangerous for a defense. And again, you talk oftentimes about football players, and when they first start playing the game, when they're young guys, when you're Jake Locker, the game is so fast. When you're a veteran like Dennis now, in his senior year, the game is slowed down to him. You see him, he never panics, he never rushes. He's playing this offense to a T.
Max Unger, the center. Hardest thing about his transition from tackle is learning how to long snap. He said that's pretty humbling. Dixon gets out of jail, spins away. Great move. Wilson Afoa got a hand on him. Gunheim finally runs him out of bounds after a modest gain that looked more dangerous than it turned out to be. But how mobile is Dennis Dixon?
About as mobile as they come. He's a long, lanky athlete. There you see some push up in the middle of the line by Daniel Teomashime again. But Dennis Dixon has the athleticism to spin out of it. And again, watch his eyes. Watch him after that. He doesn't panic. His eyes are down the field. He's almost thinking about making a play yet again. But a nice job by the Huskies there. They've got to find a way, if you're in the purple and gold, to get yourself to third down.
Hand off to Stewart. It's hit at the line of scrimmage and dragged down by Donald Butler. Washington's pursuit can't bear. The defensive coordinator says we are doing a lot of things right. Butler, as he gets used to this position, is beginning to earn more and more praise from the coaching staff. And he showed a little something there to hold that to a 2-yard gain. It's 3rd and 7.
Two very similar body types there, and Butler and Stewart, two little bulldogs there fighting for extra yards.
Saw the D-line coach Randy Hart with a signal. Dixon checks down, and Butler holds the receiver short of the line to gain. It'll be 4th down as Donald Butler held his water and hammered the receiver just as soon as the ball arrived.
See some interesting chess match here with Kent Baer. He told us yesterday that he was going to be more aggressive on 3rd down, but the 2 third downs we've seen so far, I think Dennis Dixon is scaring him. They've rushed 3. They've put 8 in the coverage. The dual threat that Dennis Dixon has put a lot of pressure on this defense. Kent Baer, the first 2 third downs, very conservative in his game call.
This season, Oregon is 2 of 4 on 4th down. Stewart gets plenty more as once again he punishes Darren Harris after picking up the first down inside the 20-yard line. The Ducks are back in the red zone. Jonathan Stewart, the history on this guy is that he's been dinged up from time to time, from year to year, but this year he doesn't go looking for contact. He has become a much smarter runner, does a better job of setting up his defenders, so he has stayed healthy, and certainly he has remained, well, he's even more effective than he was.
7 yards a carry. I think that speaks volumes, Brian. Every time he touches the ball, he has produced.
Dixon finds Strong again in a seam at the 10-yard line. Strong on his giddy up, back down to the 1-yard line. 1st and goal, Oregon. We have played barely 9.5 minutes, and the Ducks are once again knocking on the door.
This offense is something to watch. We talked in the opening about Tim Ruskell, the president of the Seahawks, here to watch all these weapons. But I think more than anything, to watch this machine that is the Oregon offense operate. They play at such a frenetic pace, and you can play at that pace, Brian, when you've got the senior leader in the middle of it all, never panicking, playing fast, but not in a hurry.
With that hurry up, you have time to change the play. Stewart gets the call, and he gets into the end zone for the touchdown.
Not only Dennis Dixon, Brian, having the patience. How about the patience of Jonathan Stewart? Again, a veteran player in his third year playing, doesn't panic. You get into the red zone, you get in the goal line. How many times do you see running backs just run up right in the back of their offensive lineman? He doesn't panic. He sets up his blocks, and then he's got the great body to finish. The low center of gravity, those powerful legs. If you're drawing a script and you're an Oregon Duck fan, this is exactly the way you wanted the first 10 minutes to go.
Into the ball game, Stewart had carried the ball 99 times. He had only lost 19 yards. He finishes this drive with his 6th rushing touchdown of the season. Oregon with a 14-0 lead and threatening to run the Huskies out of their own building. Jonathan Stewart's mom does not have to come far today to watch her son play, kind of in the backyard where he grew up in the Olympia, Washington area, and no doubt she has enjoyed what she's seen as Stewart has helped headline the Ducks. 20 plays, 1 3 and out for Washington, and 10 minutes gone by. Rankin from the 2-yard line. Good kickoff, driving him laterally. He is stood up and dropped just like that. T.J. Ward, who backs up Chung at Rover. Ward has been getting some praise from Mike Bellotti for the way he's able to get downfield and explode on special teams. You just saw why they like him.
There's so many weapons in so many positions, Brian. You look at that play. Yes, we saw the touchdown. Husky fans have heard so much about this spread offense, this spread offense, this spread offense. It's what they wanted to put in the spring. And what that spread does is it spreads the field. I love that replay there. That was the pass that set them up in the red zone. And you saw E.J. Savannah with that run fake having to honor that. And then you spread the rest of the field out. And they're easy completions. There's a reason he's completing 70% of his passes. Those aren't difficult throws when a defender's not within 8 yards.
Locker with time and with the receiver, Anthony Russo. He's got a chance. He's off the chain, and he is gone. Touchdown, Washington. The idea was to challenge Oregon's secondary, give the receivers a chance to make plays one-on-one, and they pay it off big.
And speaking of a defender not being within 8 yards, how about coming back with that deep post route to Anthony Russo? This is an Oregon defense that's going to get in your face. It's going to give you opportunities to make those big plays. And as Tim Lopano said, Jake has to make that play for us to have any chance. There he hits Anthony Russo between the 5.
There was a question about Locker's ability to deliver the deep ball. I think that he has begun to take care of that as he gets Washington right back into this game. The longest play of Anthony Russo's collegiate career. The longest play from scrimmage for Washington this year, and certainly the longest pass in Jake Locker's young career.
And at 14-0, I think Tim Lopano realized they just can't sit back. He told us they wanted to try to manage the football game, but after watching Oregon go up and down this football field, he understood he has to make some plays. He dials up the deep post there. And if there is something that Jake Locker could do, he's got an incredibly strong arm, Brian. He can throw that football a long ways. It's just measuring him. It's just that accuracy, that precision. And there he dialed it in beautifully to Anthony.
Russo looks in that moment kind of like the guy that he followed to Washington out of Lakes High School, Reggie Williams.
He's got some speed. You know, these Husky receivers have that big play ability in them. They just have not been consistent enough. You've seen flashes of it. If they have any chance today, they've got to be a little more consistent.
Stewart again coming to the near side and has room. Cuts it upfield across the 30 near the 40-yard line before he is tackled. We send it back to our FSN studios for an update.
Gentlemen, thank you. Boise State, Louisiana Tech, Broncos in a ball game. Into the first, tied up. Taylor Tharp finding Titus Young on the screen, and he is gone. Good for the touchdown. Broncos up 14-7 over La Tech in the second quarter now. Brian and Brock, back to you at Husky Stadium.
College football live on FSN. We like it a lot. Cameron Wong and the guys doing yeoman duty. A 35-yard return for Stewart, putting Dixon and the Oregon offense in business at their own 40-yard line. Stewart hit just across the line of scrimmage, and suddenly where he was ripping off chunks of real estate, now he gets 3 yards there. Don't complain about that. E.J. Savannah with the tackle, but Stewart, the question is, can he be the guy to carry the ball 25, 30 times a game in the absence of Jeremiah Johnson?
Huskies have done a good job against that zone play. It's when Oregon gets into those options, when they go to those fakes, when they get into some of their spacing. They've done it. The Huskies, the front four, have done an okay job versus the regular zone, but can they stop this?
Right back to him. It bounces off of Jordan Revitt, finds a seam on the edge. Darren Harris has been busy all day. Harris has had 4 of the tackles on Stewart. That is his 11th carry of the afternoon. Another busted tackle hurts the Huskies.
And E.J. Savannah, again, you see him there. He's trying to guess. He's trying to figure out. E.J. Savannah played in that wing T at Bellevue High School. He's used to some of that misdirection, but when you do it as well as Oregon does, with the precision and the timing and the accuracy that they do in all those fakes, it makes it awfully tough on your linebackers.
Today's 1st and 10 marker brought to you by the Emerald Queen Casino. A 20-yard play. Back to the concept of missed tackles fueling big plays for the opponent against Washington. Dixon finds Pflugrad all alone on the far side of the field. Byron Davenport closes him down, but Pflugrad has another first down for Oregon.
Make life awfully difficult on a defense when you give them so much to think about. So many different looks, so many fakes, so many options, even off their pass plays, the ability to fake and hold that defense.
That's Robin Pflugrad, Aaron's dad, who is in his 2nd year on the coaching staff under Mike Bellotti. He's one of the youngins. They have 9 guys on this staff who combined for 135 years of experience just on this staff. And Stewart gets a good block off the edge, takes the option pitch to Dixon, and once again Harris is about the only thing that keeps Jonathan Stewart out of the end zone.
This option is just killing the Husky defense right now, and when you run that option, another key component to it, watch the receivers down the field blocking. They do a nice job on number 1. Everyone's got to account for somebody, but watch the block by Jason Williams. Messman Forrester cannot get cut down there. He has to contain, and they're just having a field day, Brian.
And here's Stewart's backup, Andre Crenshaw, motoring for 7 for 6 to the 5-yard line after Stewart takes the option for 14. Stewart already has 89 yards on the afternoon. It's becoming a long day for Roy Lewis and E.J. Savannah and Messman Forrester in the Washington defense. Crenshaw hit in the backfield by Wilson Afoa, just hesitated, and that's what happens when you stop your feet.
And again, you see, what was the play? It was just a simple zone play. That is where the Huskies are having some success. You just hand the ball off. We can figure this one out. It's when they're running those options, and here a critical play on 3rd down. They have to find a way, Brian, to account for each and every guy in that option. Everyone has a role to play. Kent Baer, defensive coordinator, very blunt about that with their game plan this week. It's going to take ultimate concentration and focus on every play. Everyone has to play defensively their responsibility.
Howell, the linebacker, lines up on the right side outside of Teo Nesheim, and Dixon takes a look at Washington's defensive alignment and calls timeout. Dennis Dixon played minor league baseball last summer for the Atlanta Braves and their organization, played a little rookie ball, was roundly criticized for that. But Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, you talked about the way that they have built a relationship, and Kelly said it helped Dixon, amongst other things, understand how much he appreciated the sport of football. Also, when you go 0 for 3, as you often do in baseball, you learn how to come back from adversity.
Yeah, a lot harder to hit a baseball than it is to throw some of these checkdowns that he's doing today.
Fox NFL Sunday returns tomorrow with a doubleheader. The 49ers trying to end their losing streak when they battle a Giants team looking to win their 4th straight. The Rams take on the Seahawks. Both teams looking for a badly needed win in the NFC West. Coverage begins with the Fox NFL Sunday pregame show, 9 a.m. on Fox. 3rd down and 7. Oregon.
And the Huskies looking for a badly needed 3rd down stop here. 0 for 2 so far. The Huskies, a critical 3rd down in the red zone here.
Give it up 41% of the time. 8th in the Pac-10. Dixon on the timing route looking for the tight end Dixon. The ball bounces off of Howell, the linebacker, incomplete 4th down. So good coverage as Howell drops into coverage on Ed Dixon.
And that speaks to the athleticism we talked about earlier. Oregon always seems to have these kind of tight ends. The Anthony Gonzalez, the great athletes that can go out there in one-on-one situations, maybe just a little more. And I think that's why Dennis is clapping there. He knows, he pounds his chest. I need to throw that to the back pylon. I didn't give Ed the best chance there, and credit Dan Howell for getting his hand in. But Dennis has that throw again. He puts it on the back pylon.
Matt Evenson from 25 yards, his 8th field goal of the season against 10 attempts. Evenson extending Oregon's lead back to 10 points. But the Huskies, as they have done so often this season, bending but not breaking here, limiting the Ducks to 3 points instead of 7.
If you look at all the statistics and all the breakdowns of this Husky defense, a lot of them aren't very pretty. They're at the bottom of the conference in many categories. The one area they played well, Brian, is that red zone defense. 38% of the time, that's all that opponents are scoring touchdowns, and they're going to have to hold this dynamic Oregon offense to field goals today.
Brian Davis, Brock Huard, Brooke Olzendam with an eye on Dennis Dixon. How does he communicate, Brooke, with his teammates?
Well, that's funny that you say that, Brian, because as we know, Jake Locker likes to talk to, like, your brother, Brock, or Tim Lopano. But Dennis Dixon kind of sticks to himself. He comes back and gets on the phone for a little while and then sits right next to the Gatorade tubs by himself. So he's more of a thinker, not a lot of communication. He's really focused.
Dixon at practice on Tuesday, I had a brief conversation with him, and the only thing he was willing to talk about in terms of his maturity, his improvement this year, this is a guy who the last 7 games of last year averaged 120 yards a game, threw 2 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He was benched for the Civil War. He says, I've just gained in maturity. That's all he wants to say about it. There is obviously a lot more than that, but certainly the maturity thing, it's a good line worth keeping. And Evenson bounces that one, almost hooked it out of bounds for the penalty, but it bounces just inside the pylon for a touchdown, or touchback. Huskies 1st and 10 from their own 20.
I think you look at Dennis Dixon, as you said, last year flip-flopping back and forth with Brady Leaf. I think Chip Kelly came in this year and made it very clear. He said, listen, this is your football team. We're going to ride the shoulders of Dennis Dixon. You're going to take us as far, we're going to go as far as you can take us, Dennis, to not have that threat of the backup always behind you. And he has really grown into this role, Brian. And they are really in line for a national championship. That's how far his shoulders are taking him.
Jake Locker has in the Huskies offensive coordinator Tim Lopano the same kind of influence, a man who says, I believe in you. The intended receiver, Goodwin, was running down the near side. Corey Williams running a little further out, and the ball thrown basically between the 2 of them, incomplete.
One thing you'll notice there, a little different this week, Tim Lopano on the sidelines. You saw him there with the, what I call the Mike Holmgren play sheet, those really large play sheets in front of him calling the plays. He wanted to get down on the sidelines to get a little more feel for the game, to get a little closer to Jake.
7 men in the box for Oregon, and the pitch to Brandon Johnson, who is sniffed out and dropped at the line of scrimmage. Brandon Johnson, the freshman, spelling Lewis Rankin in the Washington backfield, the freshman out of Hawthorne, California. Johnson's got a little bit more north-south to him, and the game has finally slowed down for him. It slowed way down here as he really had no place to go.
And Oregon's only had 7 snaps defensively, but what you're going to see from this group and what you've seen from them all year is their ability to run to the football. You see all those jerseys, all those guys, all those white helmets getting to the football. That's what they pride themselves in, playing fast, getting to the football.
Another 3rd and long, and Locker overthrows Marcel Reese as he has to go all the way across the field. 4th down, another 3 and out for the Huskies. Tuesday in Eugene, I got a headache trying to figure out the number of ways Nick Aliotti and the Oregon defense had schemed up to bracket Locker and the running back and keep them from getting away, as well as putting pressure on them as they did there on third down.
And they play against defensively. Oregon doesn't practice a pretty mobile quarterback all through the spring, so they feel like they have an idea. And here you see more Tim Lopano. He's saying, listen, Jake, we need to make those plays. Again, a one-on-one opportunity you don't maximize.
And Oregon is going to get great field position out of the special teams mistake and a great play. The Ducks get a piece of it.
It's Chung, isn't it? That guy is all over the football field.
He seems to have a real feel for the games against Washington. He returned a punt for a touchdown last year. Has had a couple of interceptions and a big play here as he gets a piece of Ballman's punt. The first block on Ballman by an opponent this year.
You don't want to give these Ducks this kind of field position. They'll make it hurt.
Through the hands of Jonathan Stewart, it's incomplete as Dixon got a little bit of pressure from Daniel Te'o-Nesai.
And I'm a little surprised, Brian, they're going away from some of that option. You know, they've had so much success. You look at those 28 plays they've run. When they've run that option, when they've had that threat of handing the ball off, whether it's been a play action pass or actually getting out, when they've had that threat, they've made the Huskies pay. When they drop back and throw, or they just run those simple zones to give the Huskies a chance.
Misdirection. Stewart comes back against the grain, hit by Roy Lewis, bumped out of bounds, but he is very close to a first down as Oregon runs those plays. The tempo of their offense is so high. They get into and out of the huddle. They don't huddle. And then after the snap of the ball, things develop in a hurry.
That's exactly right. And the misdirection here. And how about that offensive line? Look at that hole. We showed highlights of Dennis Dixon in the pregame not having guys around. That's between the tackles. That's between the tackles. And you don't see any purple there. That's that Oregon offensive line blowing these Huskies right off the line of scrimmage.
Washington has run 7 offensive plays, 2 3-and-outs, and the 83-yard touchdown.